Hello there, it's me again, Benjamin, and here we are with a review, more in depth of this one, the Honda NSR500 factory colour. Now, unfortunately, I haven't taken them out of the bags yet, but well, just bear with me. So, first of all, we have the C sprue. Now, as you can tell, this has come away, so I'm going to have to be a bit careful taking this out. Oh, by the way, I've got a bit of a sniffle here, so if I sneeze, my apologies. Okay, first of all, as you can tell, all the parts are moulded very well. There's little bits of flash around this exhaust that I have. If I could just zoom up a little bit, might be able to just about see the flash, perhaps, but hey. There we are, that's better, isn't it? There we are. Now, the parts on here generally are well and truly done in a good order. The chain here is extremely well moulded. You might have to be a little bit careful when you cut it off the sprue, but apart from that, it's very, very good. Brake discs, very, very nicely done. I like the fact that they've given you a bit of a grain around the edge. Some manufacturers don't do that, but Tamiya do. Some of them just give you a bare, sort of like flat surface, and it doesn't seem too realistic to me, but that is a nice touch, so to speak. Now, the engine here, I like the fact it's done in two parts, and I'll get it in a bit closer so you can see. It's pretty nicely moulded. It's pretty nicely moulded. There's not a lot of clean-up on that, to be quite honest. Not a lot of clean-up. The exhausts, more exhaust, like I said, is a bit loose, but hey. These here carburetors, what have we got there? Can't get them, there we are. These carburetors, really, no, they're not the carburetors, they're the cylinder heads, sorry. They're nicely moulded as well, and practically everything on this sprue I will admit to being extremely nicely moulded. There we go, all the gubbins at the top. You got the brace, the rear suspension arm, top and the bottom of the forks, speedo, the exhaust, second part of the exhaust pipes, even a fuel cap. All very well done. So, top marks for you there, Tamiya. Okay, on to the next sprues. Now this one, I'm not going to bother, because, well, it's just a clear one, and all you're going to get is the visor. All I'm using is the visor. But, needless to say, this will be more or less exactly the same as the white one, so won't worry about that for the time being. And the tyres, well, they're just your standard fare solid rubber. They do have a seam mark down them, but that's easily removed with I don't know, 320 or maybe I don't know, yeah, probably a 320, then an 800 grit sandpaper or wet and dry, so there's no problems with that. Okay, now we come to the last sprue, or sprues. So here we are. I'll do the fairing one first. Now, put that one on the side. Now here we are with the fairing. Get it in the shop, there we go. The fairing here, all the way around, is crisp as a donut, I suppose you might say. The mould lines, for the most part, are just around, there we are, just around the edge here. and there's none, as far as I can see, inside here, because sometimes you do get the odd seam line, so they're mostly along this edge on both of them. The lower front radiator cover bit, no seam lines as far as I can tell. There is a little bit of a notch and the tiniest bit of flash along this edge, but like I say, there's nothing that a good sand down wouldn't work with. And of course, my favourite part, yeah, the moulding. I don't know why they've got it here. It might be for some reason, but there's a mould line that goes across here, and I can't really think of why, but there's one that goes across here, if you can see that, and there's one that goes just under here, and from what I can tell, there's no real reason for them to be there, so I guess that's just a rub down with, say, 1500 grit if you don't want to ruin the finish of this. Again, there's a little bit of flash on the tailing edge here, and that seems to be on both of them a little bit, and that line is also present on the other fairing. Other than that, though, there doesn't seem to be much to tidy up. Yes, there's a little bit, again, there's a bit of flash, but like I say, you put it, give these a good rub down with, say, an 800 grit or maybe 1000 grit. I suppose it would make it a lot easier to get rid of the mould lines and the like, and you probably wouldn't know any different. Well, that's that one done. And we come to the second white sprue, which is the B sprue, and here we are. I've had a bit of a look at this frame, so I get it in the shot first. Have a look at this frame and the swing arm, and it's crisp, really crisp, and it's just crying out for a very nice sort of like, I don't know, a flat aluminium paint job on it. There doesn't seem to be any welding marks which are on it, so my guess is it may have been in real life. I know I don't know anything about this bike per se, but it could be that this was forged as one frame, although I'm just guessing, and these bits were just bolted on later, but like I say, I'm just guessing. Let's go to the swing arm. The swing arm, great. I think this is a yes or a no for me, but for me it's a lot easier. I like the fact that they've moulded on the rear brake caliper. Always a bit of a help, because these rear brake calipers can be a little bit fiddly even at the best of times. The wheel rims, front wheel rim, really nicely done. There is a bit of a mould line in the inside, but that's nothing that can't be handled. But stick some white, sort of a glossy white over that, and yeah, along with the back one, same job. There is a mould line in between the arms there, but nothing you couldn't handle. Nothing you couldn't handle. For the rest of it, it does seem that there's not a lot of problems, but I did point out that there are these on the fairing, but it's the same thing on this body. You get some, I don't know whether it's a mould line or whether it's for something else, whether it's a guide to mask off or paint. I'm not too sure, because I don't know whether there was another one of these made in different colouring, but there seems to be the same sort of thing here, you know, a mould line that goes along here, and if you sort of like check it out along with this, it does kind of match. I know you can't see it in the light, but I can't help that, I'm sorry. And it goes along the fuel tank here as well, just along the fuel tank, almost indistinguishable because it comes along the curve here. But yeah, get rid of that with a, say, like 1,000 grit, be perfectly alright. Radiator does seem to be rather nicely produced. There doesn't seem to be any loss of moulding quality on this. And the front forks, there's two, obviously the two are more or less identical to each other. I like it that just on the caliper there's a little flat part just to put the little decal on, and that's a really nice idea that Tamiya have put there. And the I'm not too sure what these are. I think they may be the filters, air filters or some such. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on this. That's really nicely cut down because you can just about see the weave. I do believe they are maybe air filters. But overall, all these sprues on this model do seem to be really nicely moulded out. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of flashing here and there, and there's a few lines on the body you might have to get rid of. But for the most part, I would say it's a very nice little model kit, and looking forward to building this immensely, actually, because I've had a look at a few aftermarket sets and they do seem to do one or two of them. And just for argument's sake, I will show the decals. I know you're never really meant to take these out until you've used them, but since I'm going to put them back in the packet, it's okay. Now, yeah, that's probably a lot better because I can fit it in. There we are. Very vibrant. Very vibrant. I like the fact that these threes you can use on the clear fairing. The Honda has got a slight curve to it, which obviously will make it a lot easier to put on a curved surface and make it look straight. Yes, the quality of this is amazing. And again, here we go. Top corner there, those were those screws I was on about. Decaled screws. Now, yeah, okay, I'm alright with that, but I just thought it was a little funny because why not just paint them? There you go. A little bit disappointed with the clocks. There we go. It's a little bit lackluster on the clocks, but not too bad, I suppose. There's all little bits and pieces all over the place on this. I don't know if you can see it, but those two decals were what I was on about for the front forks. But yes, that's not a bad decal set. Not a bad decal set at all. And finally, the instructions. As with all Tamiya models, you know, it's extremely well laid out. Gives you the paint list you need here, and obviously the instructions. You can't really go wrong. Just one word of caution though. I know that many model makers would have never made this mistake twice, but you do find decals in the oddest places in some of these motorbikes. But here we go, there's the rest of the instructions, and obviously you got the back side as well, all these. This part a bit weird for me because I don't know why to put the fairing on up the top first, then put the forks on. It might be because of this little bit of cover there. Yeah, it's more than likely that. So yeah, I can understand that now. Just haven't had a good study of them, and that's one thing I like is you actually do get one of these braces. You don't have to buy a separate one. And obviously, decal application fairly clear, concise, no problems with that, I suppose. So that is the end of a box review of the Honda NSR500 factory colour. So hope you enjoy. Any comments you want to make, just put them in the comments below, and yeah, there we go.